That's my baby.
I'm dying.
That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left.
What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah!
What the fuck are you talking about?
What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, joined as always by my guy Brandon. It is Philly the podcast, on A2D Radio. It's our Saturday spot. We back in the kitchen. But what's good, everybody? Shout out to everybody already in the chat. So today, listen, we're gonna have Hunter joining us pretty soon. But today, I'm sure you saw it yesterday, Brandon. I was the victim of a Twitter assault, I think we can say. I think that I was a victim of a jumping by a bunch of cowboy Twitter guys. So they got me thinking, I won't go too deep into it, but they got me to thinking, what are the expectations of this division? Do we have guys or a team, I should say, do we have a team that we look at and say they're far and above anybody in this division? I think we all can agree on the surface level. Probably not. I think the whole NFC East is pretty weak. But today I want to kind of go over that and kind of just break down every team from our point of view and see what we can do there. Now, before we get into this, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. Come on over to Philly the podcast and check us out. But shout out to the sponsor for this show, Body Check Wellness, a line of products that promote wellness, balance, and recovery by using the full potential of hemp. They come in extracts, blends, and gummies and topicals. Be sure to use promo code A2D for 20% off at Body Check Wellness. Now, the first thing I want to ask you, Brandon, before we get Hunter in here, you saw the assault that I had to endure, the delusion, the hall of delusion that I had to walk down.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the whole Cowboys offense being better than the Chiefs offense? Where do you stand? Was I bugging out? I need to know, because you're the good angel on my good side. I need to know, was Joe bugging out?
You were bugging out. They were going ham trying to they were asking questions like, I forget. See, the thing is, I already forgot the line. Lyle Collins. Like, I forgot the guy's name for a little bit. And they're coming at you with these questions as if we have their team memorized about who plays and doesn't. On the offensive line, it wasn't even like, did Ezekiel Elliott play? Like, okay, everyone knows that because of fantasy and just because he's a big name. But you're going to try to stump someone that's not a fan of that team on a random player on your offensive line. That is just corny to me. But you weren't wrong. Yes, on paper, the Cowboys offense is solid, and we can get into that a little later. But that's on paper. It's solid. Their wide receivers are comparable in a sense. Like, you can't go wrong. We all know what CeeDee Lamb is. We all know what Amari Cooper is. But there were some of them that were comparing Dak and Pat Mahomes a little too close for comfort. There's a reason why Pat Mahomes has a Super Bowl ring, has that contract that he had, and Dak doesn't. It is what it is. So, no, the Kansas City offense altogether, yes, they stunk it up in the Super Bowl, but there goes to show that the offensive line is key. Even if they switch up their game plan, that defensive line for the Bucs was just insane. They were playing lights out, their linebackers, lights out. Everyone was playing lights out, and it is what it is. It's the football game, any given Sunday. But with their scheme, their coach, their quarterback right there, that's already better than the Cowboys. So for them to really go ham and be like, how could you disagree with this? We're so much closer than you think. It doesn't show. There's no proof. There is no proof to that.
That's my thing. And, a lot of them were talking about, and I hope that they come in here, and I already see a comment talking about Cowboys, so we're going to get to it. But I hope that they do come in here, because realistically, that makes – I had a very good conversation with Big Game James on the Silver and Blue Nation podcast. Go check it out. It was like an hour and 45 minutes almost of us just really being honest about our teams. It wasn't no agenda. We really wanted to learn about each other's teams. And I sat there and I don't want to say I know, but I feel as though we came to a compromise of what the Eagles and Cowboys are good at and bad at, right? And that is fine. For you to come in and say that, hey, the Eagles are going to be trash, the Giants are going to be trash, the Washington football team is going to be trash. As a Cowboys fan, I get that. but you're basically going and getting the best team and saying, yeah, we're close to them when you went 6-10.
Right.
You went 6-10. I understand that you had injuries. We did too. I understand that a lot of things have happened. You know what I'm saying? It's happened to everybody. Our whole division has zero right. I don't want to say zero right, but they have zero, like you said, proof or zero, track record to really go and say, oh, we're going to go out there and dominate this year. I just don't see it. I think whoever wins this division, it's going to be off of the back of, whoever goes to the playoffs is going to be off the back of winning this division. So, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Chris Garland. He's already upset. Shout out to my guy right there. I love it. We weren't healthy. Imagine health. What's good, Hunter? How you doing, bro?
What's on, Hunter?
I'm doing all right. How about you guys?
We chilling, man. We chilling. So this is my guy, if y'all don't know, Hunter from Philly Insider Podcast. So we talked a little bit off camera. I don't know if you saw the attack. I'm telling you, bro. Like, I felt so famous, on Twitter. I really did feel famous for a day. It felt good. But no, Eagles, Cowboys fans, I should say, thinking that their offense, I should say, is just as good, if not better, than the Kansas City Chiefs. What are your thoughts?
Me?
Yeah.
Wow. As usual, these fans are delusional, and they're going to go 8-8, 9. Well, now this year 8-9, 9-8. So,
yeah.
Look, the thing that really got me ticked off the other day was seeing, is Dalton Schultz is he better than Dallas Goedert? That's a world of difference between those two. Not even close. Your quarterback, when healthy, was pretty much down and out to the Giants before he got hurt in that game. And you guys go down by 40 points every game, and then it's, oh man, if we had gotten the onside kick, you finally got one against a team who's famous for blowing leads too. But man, this team, it just frustrates me with their fans because they just, every year we tell them, you guys aren't them boys. You guys aren't going to do anything. It's not your year. And they still invest themselves and believe. I have no problem with you guys getting excited for the season, but come on, at some point, it's like you guys get knocked down enough. You got to stay down and out at some point when you're eliminated and stop talking that ish. Like, this is not a good football team. I didn't think I thought they drafted all right, but I still think there's a ton of holes in that defense. And even if you don't want to put it on Dak, they're still going to go down by a lot of points every game and have to come back. So that's my thoughts on Dallas Cowboys being up there with the Kansas City Chiefs. Not to mention their offensive line is not what it used to be.
Exactly.
Right, so.
And can I ask y'all a question? Because I don't have a dictionary in my new apartment. I need to go get one. So I could be bugging. Things could change over the past couple, decades. I haven't been to school in a while, right? So context to me, I want to know if this is context or something else I'm thinking, because I saw a post this morning talking about Ezekiel Elliott and why he had such a terrible game or terrible year, such a down year. And the reasons basically were that Dak was injured, Lyle was injured, this was injured, that was injured. Is that context, or is that a word that maybe starts with E? Maybe that's an excuse.
I think it might start with the letter E. I think
I'm taking excuse on that. I mean, listen, I understand, and we should, if anybody, bro. If you look at the Eagles, we have had a crazy amount of injuries. We won a Super Bowl with a crazy, I don't want to say crazy amount, but some very key injuries, right?
Oh, yeah.
We went to the playoffs 2 years in a row off the back of a bad division, nonetheless, but all four teams playing the same bad division, right? So, look, at the end of the day, you haven't proven anything. If you want to say that our offense one day can be that great, yeah, maybe it can. We can say the same thing. The same excuses that you're using for Dak Prescott, and I will say this. I said this yesterday. I've said this before. I think that Dak Prescott right now, you can't say that he's not the best quarterback in the division. You can't say moving forward, week one, if he is playing and starting, he is the best quarterback in this division. Hands down, we'll never, ever take that away until he's proven wrong. But you don't, the same excuses. You didn't see him last year. We didn't really get to see, Jalen Hurts last year. There was a bunch of injuries, a terrible offense for Dak. Say the same thing for Jalen Hurts. At the end of the day, he was putting up all those numbers, and you went 1-3. So I don't get where all the smoke is coming from. I don't get where all the I don't even know I don't even want to say confidence, because this is beyond confidence. It's just delusion, bro. It's delusion. I don't know, but
Yeah.
We'll get into what we came here for. I just had to get into that. I had to really trigger Chris Garland. I like this guy. He's already really upset. It's 1 o'clock. We get going.
You would have thought that they just went 13-3, but that was like what 4 or 5 years ago.
You
like
feel me?
They haven't even shown a couple years of like great offense to be like, oh, we're just as good as KC. Like it just doesn't make sense. You're just going off name based on the paper. And we saw last year, even in a crappy division as it was, they didn't even win it. The Washington football team, with all their problems, came out on top of the division with all their names. Yes, Dak did go down, but if your team's that great with all them weapons, then at least an Andy Dalton should have been able to carry it and everything like that.
Yeah.
And how about we talk? Oh, my bad.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, how about we talk about? You want to talk about Zeke's rushing stats? Even if they were decent, I mean, he still had his lowest yards per carry of his career. With, if you want to say back off offensive line, how about we talk about Miles Sanders having a different offensive line every week, having Jamon Brown out there? How about we talk about Ezekiel Elliott getting destroyed in pass protection every week, absolutely blown up? I mean, he was a liability in pass protection. How about we talk about him having 8 drops last year, and CeeDee Lamb also having 8 drops last year, who is heralded as this otherworldly wide receiver. I love CeeDee Lamb. Don't get me wrong, but he still had 8 drops, and I that's not his whole game. But my point being, like, there's still issues these guys got to clean up that are the supposed like stars of this offense, and it's stuff that like an offense like the Chiefs don't exactly have these same issues with. Yes, are there drops? Yeah, of course, but it's not to the same extent that they had this past year. So I don't even know, man. It's just
I think it's cute though. I think it's cute. Hey, nothing changes. As much as things change, they still stay the same. Because like this is a yearly thing with them. It's not like I remember being 15 here and we're gonna win the Super Bowl. So didn't happen then. We'll see if it happens now. But so what we're gonna do today, we're gonna basically go from team to team in the NFC East. We'll finish off with the Eagles, and then we'll kind of give our assumption or our opinion or whatever you want to call it on who we think has the upper hand, if there's a team that have the upper hand. So my overall theme, before we get too deep into it, is that I feel like there's question marks for everybody. There's question marks on every team. So I want to kind of go through those question marks. So we'll start, I think, with the Washington football team. I don't know why. I just, why not? We'll start with them.
Yeah.
So the Washington football team, obviously, off the top of my head, I'm just thinking of their quarterback, but they have some great assets on that team, some great players on that team. So we'll start with you, Brandon. Just overall, if we look at the offseason, was there anything that stood out to you from the Washington football team? Where do you see them going?
Right.
Just kind of a little overall thought.
Yeah, overall, it's kind of, you would think that they would have went and invested in a quarterback this offseason, and that not Fitzmagic. Because, yes, you know what? They might look really good within the first couple weeks, but then that magic runs out almost every season on cue. And so going ahead and grabbing Fitzpatrick, I guess that was kind of like a bridge, but you didn't really get a guy to be that after the bridge. You didn't go ahead. You didn't trade up to get a quarterback like the Bears did. You're hoping that Heineke, who played the best game that he probably ever will play against the Bucs in the playoffs, and it wasn't even like a super great game. It just looked way better than anybody's expectations. So, I mean, is he really good, or did he just shine for a little bit and he's going to have like the Gardner Minshew type career or something like that? But they didn't address the quarterback. They could have maybe gone out, try to maybe snag Deshaun Watson or one of these guys that, even though they had some character stuff going on or lawsuits, whatever, it still would have made your team that much better. So I think that's like their number one thing, because they did grab Curtis Samuel, that bolsters a wide receiving core.
Yes.
Their defensive line, even after losing a key player, they're still really, really, really good. They lost Ronald Darby, but I just think that their quarterback, that's the most important position that I feel like they did not address.
Yeah, I mean, going off of that, the Washington football team is definitely the team I see with the highest ceiling moving forward. I think we can see they have so much young talent there. Like you said, they added Curtis Samuel, and they got De'Ami Brown in the draft, who I was a big fan of, who's a really good route runner, pretty quick guy. They needed wide receiver help as well, and they still got Cam Sims, who he's one of those guys who he got starter experience last year, but now you can kind of move him back into the role he probably should have been in as like a 4th, 5th guy, and he can still be used. The offensive line, like even though their offensive line, I still think has some holes. I think they do a good job covering that up because they had the 6th highest rated offensive line by PFF, and everyone's freaking out because I mentioned PFF now. But I think a lot of that was due to Scott Turner just utilizing the guys he had so well, and just he kind of had to because Alex Smith really couldn't move, if we're being honest. But just Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissick in the 2 running back sets last year, I was very impressed with. I think J.D. is still there, if I'm not mistaken, too. So, and just like using Peyton Barber on those short yardage, he wasn't anything flashy, but like just getting those short yardage, like he put that game away against us in week 1. That was really what did it. After all the mistakes we made, but he put that game away at the end. So I think they do a good job just hiding their weaknesses. Logan Thomas, man, like really, really impressed with him as a tight end, going from quarterback, switching to tight end all these years later. Like he's a big dude. I was very impressed with what I saw from him last year. But yeah, it really all comes down to the quarterback. Like Brandon said, Fitzmagic, like it always tends to run out. Heineke, we'll see if that's anything. But like I really wanted to see them. If I'm a Washington fan, I want to see you at least go after a Kellen Mond, because obviously we had the quarterbacks go, and Chicago got aggressive and went after Justin Fields when New York kind of panicked after they didn't get Devontae. So I would have liked them to get like a Kellen Mond or Davis Mills, just someone in there at least to groom. So it makes me wonder how much it's going to limit their ceiling, because we saw last year with Dwayne Haskins, they won games. And if you watch Dwayne Haskins at all, the dude doesn't care about football for one. And it shows by the way he plays, and just how awful his velocity is on the ball that he at times. And just the way that he just reads defenses is awful. I mean, the dude just doesn't know what's going on half the time. It seems like anytime he threw the ball after further than 5-10 yards, he couldn't get a completion. I was excited when he threw the ball more than 10 yards every time I saw it. So that definitely limited them, but they still were able to win this division last year. And I think Fitzmagic will be able to kind of weather the storm. You know what you're going to get from him. You're going to get games where he takes a little too many risks, and you're going to get games where those risks pay off as well. So the defense, I'm not even going to speak on too much because I'm so confident in them. I mean, Cam Curl, great undrafted free agent last year who stepped up at safety. And I mean, they added William Jackson to kind of replace Darby, but they still got, so that front 4, front 7 is so dominant. Front 7, they added Jamin Davis, who maybe was a little bit of an early draft pick, but I still think he's going to be an impact player. Like this team is set up for success for the future. And it really, like you guys said, it really comes down to the quarterback position. But hey, no team has repeated in the NFC East since like the early 2000s, which I think was us. So,
and they were gifted.
Yeah,
that.
Exactly.
To be honest.
I mean, this is the second time they really were. Last time we had like a meltdown too, and they like snuck into the playoffs. So, I mean, I do like their team. I do 100% agree with you on that. I do think that they're ready to be a dominant team. I mean, both of you guys are saying it. They're just a quarterback away. Realistically, they have basically every other position, and they have a great coach. I mean, Ron Rivera, I can't say it enough. I sit here and, I got to get the strings and violin over here, but I love Ron Rivera. What he was able to do with that team, like just on the surface, just looking at it on the surface, you're going through, your name is taken away. You have pure scandals, and then on top of that, God bless him, he's going through cancer and everything. Like all that, you start off 1-5, you have a quarterback that literally like ripped his leg apart and came back and almost was the comeback player of the year. Like, it was a terrible division, but that was an amazing story to watch unfold. So like, I think that it'll be interesting with Ryan Fitzpatrick, because I know he's an old dog. I know it's sometimes hard to teach old dogs tricks, but I feel like Ron Rivera is one of those guys that'll kind of hone him in a little bit and just like really try and get in his mind that you just don't lose the game for us. Like that's really kind of all we need you to do. Like less than a game manager. Like we just need you to not mess up. If you keep the hand in, keep the ball in our running backs' hands. Like you said, they got a good core. Keep the ball in their hands and let our defense do their work. We can win a lot of games. We can win a good amount of games. That's a decent formula. So it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of rein him in. It'll be interesting to see if they actually do believe in that Heineke kid or whatever the hell his name is. It'll be interesting to see if they really do want to give him that shot. And Logan Thomas, another guy, is that just a one-off year? Is he really going to be a real good tight end? So I think there's a lot of storyline to watch with the Washington football team. Will I get a name? You know, there's so many things that might happen.
It's been almost 2 years at this point. Like, where is this name?
That's what I'm saying. I don't even know. I've seen some cool ones. So, you know, I guess, I mean, maybe they come up with a cool name. I doubt it. It's probably going to be, just stay with Washington football team. That's pretty unique at this point. I mean, it is what it is. So let me ask you this. If you had to look at the Washington football team, and I just want to know as far as our matchups, not necessarily their whole record, but in those 2 games, where do you see, you know, win-loss, but also kind of a little bit deeper than that, where do you think, or who do you think will be keys to those games on both sides?
I think, I don't know. I want to say that we might sweep them, but I could be wrong. Their defense is tough. I think the key is going to be, on the Eagle side, is going to be our secondary. If Fitzpatrick is hitting on all cylinders like he does sometimes, he loves to air it out. And we've seen it from when he was on the Bucs to when he was on the Dolphins. For some reason, he has our number, and he's been able to air it out and have great passing games against us. And that's throwing the ball deep, and we got beat multiple times. So I can see that our secondary needs to step up. That would be a key for us. And then for them, I think it would be having to be Fitzpatrick hitting on all cylinders. I think we'll be good against the run. We have the linebackers, I feel, that are better against the run than the pass. So if Fitzpatrick is hitting on all cylinders, Washington does have a way better chance of winning that game, just because I don't know what our secondary is going to be like, or how the linebackers are going to do in pass coverage. So that's the reason why I would get kind of scared. But I still think last year, them sweeping us, it felt like a fluke. It felt like that week 1 game, we should have annihilated them, and then all hell broke loose. And then that final game, we literally gifted them the game. It is what it is. We weren't trying to win that game. We weren't playing all out. Doug Peterson pulls Jalen Hurts out, and it was just embarrassing after that. It wasn't even great to watch. I had to, you wanted to turn the game off. It was embarrassing. So I don't see that happening this year. I see a little bit of a comeback. We might not be the best team out there, but I don't see us thinking it up like that. So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, going off of what Brandon said, he said the secondary. I'll take the guy who he kind of pointed out as well. Like, Fitzpatrick is definitely a key to this game, just because, like you said, he likes to air it out, and he's destroyed us in previous matchups. And like, our cornerbacks are just so small outside of Darius Slay, and that's the thing that just concerns me. Is any jump ball, I don't trust any of them to go up and get downfield. Because I just remember I vividly remember Devontae Parker just going up and mossing Ronald Darby a bunch of times in that Miami game. And then, the year before, Deshaun Jackson going up and just the first play of the game, Jalen Mills and Malcolm Jenkins had a miscommunication, and then he got torched downfield. So, really Ryan Fitzpatrick, just how he plays, because like you said, he's a streaky guy. And going off of that, like, our offense, how can we establish the run versus that front seven? Because they do have a good front four, and the front seven overall is getting better, but there are a few weak links in that linebacker core, in the middle linebacker core. So if we can maybe take advantage of that, that would be huge. Just because if you can establish the run and then run play action with like 7-8 man protection, and then you give Jalen Hurts a little more time with that rush and that blitz heavy defense, he can really get comfortable. He can get him to use his legs too and involve him in the running game a little bit as well. I know they got athletic guys on that front, but as much as you can, try to get him involved and just try to establish it from there. Because we all know, like, the run sets off the pass. So if we can do that in that game, that'll be huge.
Yeah, if I had to go with a player, I'm going to cheat because I can. I make the rules so I could break the rules now. But no, realistically, I'm going to go with whoever's at that left tackle position, whether it be Andre Dillard or Jordan Mailata. Yeah. I think that's going to be a very big question. If it's going to be interesting to see if we play. And I'm not going to say that Andre Dillard will only start because of his draft status, but it'll be interesting to see if he gets the week 1 start just because of that, and he goes out there and stinks it up, and Jordan Mailata has to basically wait again. Like, I hope that the better player is going to be playing week 1. So whoever that is, and especially when we play Washington, those 2 games, I hope that they go out there and are dominant, because I don't want, how do I say this? I feel like the linebacking core is a good example of this. Like, we saw decent linebacking play and got way overly hyped. Like we were out here ready to crown all these guys because we saw Nate Gary for so long. So it's like, I don't want that to be the issue with last year, is that, you know what I'm saying? We saw Jamon Brown and 14 different, O-line combinations. So it was just like we were kind of grasping at straws. I do think Jordan Mailata did well while he was in there, so I want to keep seeing that. So he would really be on our side. I would definitely have to say one of those two. Hopefully Jordan Mailata. I think Jordan Mailata is probably going to win it. And as far as for the Washington football team, honestly, I'm gonna say Scary Terry, because that boy is a beast, man. Like at any given time, like I don't care what Ryan Fitzpatrick's doing, what he's going through. Like Terry McLaurin's gonna get over the top. He's gonna get a touchdown. Like he's gonna probably get like a nice little 60, 70-yard catch. Like
probably the first play of the game.
Exactly. They're gonna get us back for that Monday Night Massacre one time. Well, maybe just in one play, but yeah, no, I think that he's just one of those guys that it doesn't matter who you got guarding him. It's going to be tough. You know, they're either too slow, too small. It's hard to cover that kid. I think he's one of the most underrated dudes, to be honest. But so we'll go with that. So you guys, did you guys give the win or loss for?
I'm going with the sweep.
Sweep.
Dang. I'm going to have to go with the Washington sweep. I hate to say it.
Oh, damn. My heart.
I really hate to say it.
Why is that? Why is that?
I just feel like they're kind of like a year ahead of us in the rebuilding phase, where I do think we have an answer at quarterback, but I don't think our defense is going to be able to hold up over the course of the game. I think they're going to get a little worn out. And I think Washington might just play keep away with their offense and kind of just try to wear our defense out at the same. Because, like you said, like they don't even need Fitzpatrick to be the game manager. Just don't lose the game. So,
yeah.
But on game day, of course, I'm going to predict a win both times.
I respect you for being honest. I'm going to probably go 1-1. I'm going to go split. I think that they are probably going to beat. They have a very good team, but I do feel like we are going to be able to sneak one out against them. So I'm going to go 1-1. Maybe it's the bias in me. It is what it is. I don't care. So we'll move on to the Giants now. We'll move on to the New York Giants. I mean, I will say that before the season started, I thought Daniel Jones was going to have a good year. I was wrong. So, it is what it is. We're back where we started. But they did add, obviously, Kenny Golladay. They did have a decent defense, top 10 defense at least, I know. They got some good players. They got Saquon Barkley coming back. Their offensive line is still kind of suspect, but they added people to it. I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm not really afraid of the Giants. I honestly, I know I didn't even ask a question yet, but I think we're going to sweep them boys. I think even if we're bad, I think we're going to sweep them. I really don't see them being a threat until we don't. Last year we lost the game. That's good for y'all. I'm happy for y'all. But the past 5 years, that's the one game you've won. So, until something changes, I'm going to go with history and I'm going to go with my gut feeling here, because we've beaten them with some bad teams, bro. We've beaten them on our side. We've had some bad teams that went out there and should not have won against the Giants and did. So with that in my mind, I think that we're going to probably sweep them. I'm not really afraid of anybody on that team, but is there anybody that stands out on that team to you guys that you're like, all right, I'm a little worried about him, playing him and seeing him on Sunday?
Yeah. Hunter, you can go first. I went first to the Redskins one, or Washington football. My bad.
Whoa. Cancel culture. But the two guys who just come to mind are, one has got to be Tony for me. I mean, I know that was, some consider that a reach, but I didn't think it was a bad pick. I still think the dude's a phenomenal player, and he's one of those guys who, it's been a pretty chill game. We're up, we're leading, and then bang, he hits you with a quick hitter, and then he's gone for 80 yards. He just has that ability in him, whether it's a screenplay, whether they send him deep, whether they send him just on, a little shallow cross or slant. That dude can take it to the house at any given moment. So he scares me because obviously Slay's probably going to have to cover Golladay. And then you've got, who else to cover him and Slayton. So you're going to have to keep a close eye on Kadarius Toney. And then, I mean, on defensive side of the ball, I hate to go basic and pick like a mainstream guy, but Bradbury, man. I mean, dude, definitely like first matchup, Fulgham got his a little bit. I mean, Bradbury still played a really good game. And then second matchup, he kind of just shut down our whole receiving core, whoever he was on, broke up that pass on 4th and 10 to Rager, which, probably shouldn't be giving Rager a contested catch opportunity. It's not really his game, but, still a little upset about that. But like Bradbury, the dude is just a lockdown corner. Like he was definitely, in my opinion, from the games I watched and all the NFL games I watched last year, I thought he was probably one of the top corners in the league. That's just my opinion. But, that he definitely has that elite ability in him and can take a guy away. So I want to see what Devontae can do up against him. That's what I'm really, because I think Devontae, honestly, I know he hasn't played a game yet, but I'm so confident in that kid. I think he can go up against any corner, to be honest, and do well. So I'm really interested to see that matchup.
Right. And I'm on the offensive side of the ball. I was thinking Kadarius Toney as well. I think that with the addition of him, plus Galladay, plus Slayton, plus if John Ross stays healthy, that's a speedster that you can launch down the field. So they got weapons. I mean, Evan Ingram, if he ever finds his hands, he could be one of the most dangerous tight ends in the league.
He's a Pro Bowler, man. You got to respect the Pro Bowler.
That dude just drops everything. And I feel bad for Giant fans because he could be something special if he would catch the ball. Yeah. But I'm thinking a healthy Saquon. This is his season to really prove that he is that dude. We've seen flashes of him. He has one of those big giant plays that he'll go for 80 yards and nobody's catching him. But then he also gets shut down most of the game. I think this is his year to really prove that he is one of, if not the top running back in the league. He can stay healthy and really help Daniel Jones out, because with a healthy Saquon and going all out, that's just going to make Daniel Jones' job even easier. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I feel like when getting Blake Martinez last year really helped bolster that defense. I think he's been a leader for them. Their defense, I think, like Joe said, was in the top 10. Like, they were good. Like, you came in like front that they weren't. They were a good defense. We probably last year would have got swept by them if Evan Ingram catches the ball. It's one of those things. So we could have possibly been swept last year by them. And then they added a Dory Jackson speed there. So They made some additions, and I fear this team a little bit more healthy and maybe playing better than I do Washington.
I ain't scared. Yeah, their coach don't scare me. Their coach makes me less fearful. Actually, Joe Judge, you have a lifelong path to be a New York Giants head coach. I don't trust that man. I don't trust who's the guy that came, Mr. Clapper, Jason Kerr. I don't trust that man. Who's their defensive coordinator? I think they do have a good defensive coordinator.
Patrick Graham. He is really good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hate on him. So yeah, I try. I am a little afraid of him. But outside of that defense, bro, I'm not too afraid, and I think that our offense can figure it out. I don't think that we're gonna be, scoring 500 points on them, but I don't think we need to. Daniel Jones figures out a way to help us out. If he sees a full field of grass, he's going to fall on the ground and concede. We've learned this. I just think, I don't know. Maybe I am being a little bit too biased with the history, but it's just I've seen worse teams than this beat them and beat them pretty convincingly at times. So it's like, I don't think that they made enough It all depends on Daniel Jones. That's really the guy that I think everything, if Evan Ingram has a great year, that's awesome. If Galladay is healthy, because I think that's a question mark as well. If he's healthy and can bring what they hope that he can, that's awesome. They'll have weapons. He has weapons. But it comes down to Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones, he didn't prove me right last year. So maybe I'm upset about that, because I did really feel like, especially the last 5 games of not 2020, of 2019, I felt like you saw a Daniel Jones that was kind of on fire. Like, he was putting up big numbers, scoring a lot. Like, with his legs and his arm, I really saw something in him. He still had the issues that he has now. But I don't know. 2020 just kind of exasperated those issues for me. So it all comes down to him, good and bad. If they have a great season, I think it's going to be on the helm of him. If they have a terrible season, it's going to be his fault. Defensively, I'm going to, I'm going to stick with my O-line theory that they're going to be important to us, and I'm going to say Leonard Williams. They got Leonard Williams, right? And he's trying to fight to be a defensive end right now. So if you're trying to do that, that's probably because you're trying to get a bag. You're not trying to get that defensive tackle money. You want that 16 mil a year or 20 mil a year that they making on the edge. And he last year, if I'm not mistaken, he led the league in sacks at his position. I could be wrong about that, but I know he had like 11 or 12, something like that. So either way, I mean, he balled out last year, so maybe he could be the guy that really puts a test on this offensive line, whoever it is he's going against, because he's probably not going to be on the right side. He's probably going to try and, go to the left side where we got some rookies and some young guys. So that I think he's going to be a test for this defensive line. I think a lot of defensive lines in this division, honestly, I think all of them are going to be really good tests for our O-line. So I'll go with Leonard Williams just to be different. Because, I mean, realistically, I do want to go with the cornerback because he is a dog. That man is a dog. And they got a good safety. What's their safety's name? What's their safety's name?
Oh, gosh. Is it – well, Logan Ryan's kind of a chess piece.
No, what's the dude that they just got him?
Peppers or McKinney, right?
McKinney, thank you. Yeah, McKinney. Yeah. So McKinney's pretty good. He's young, so we'll see what he becomes. But I gotta go with Leonard Williams because I want to see that matchup. I just want to see this offensive line go crazy. And before we move on to the next one, I want to ask you this question because I was talking last night with Big Game James, and we were talking about like how the NFC East I feel like is the most old school division. Like I feel like we are still like we still worry about the trenches. That's our bread and butter. We still want those bigger, stronger football player type guys. You look at stuff like that. So how do you guys feel about that? Do you think that's kind of true? Because like I said, even if you look at the running back position, outside of us the past couple years, we've all had that number one guy where a lot of different teams have, you even look at the Jaguars. They got Travis Etienne or however you say his name. He's out there being a wide receiver every practice. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like the game is changing so much, but do you guys see the Eagles like kind of trying to catch up with, how it's going, how the NFL is changing, or do you think we're still kind of stuck in those old school ways?
I think the draft kind of showed we're still going to stick with our old school mentality, at least for us. Like the Landon Dickerson pick, who was he probably the best player available? Yeah, but I think everyone's eyes was on JOK and possibly. I forget who else we were looking at, but JOK was the big one for sure. But and then you look at like even the Milton Williams pick. I think people definitely expected like third round they were probably going to take Melifonwu or St. Juste or like another corner or something to address that secondary. But their philosophy's always been if we can get pressure with the front four, front seven, we don't need as good of a secondary. Now they still need a bullet for that secondary a little bit, but we saw with the Super Bowl year. Ronald Darby and Jalen Mills ended up being enough that year. And we saw kind of what they were when they didn't have as much pressure from the front four. So, and then you look at the offense as well, like the offensive line got hurt a ton last year. Let's go invest in Landon Dickerson and get our guy who's going to replace Kelsey or even, maybe overtake Samalu at some point in the year. And just like, develop Mailata. They drafted Dillard to be the ultimate Peters replacement. That was the plan. And they've developed Herbig the past few years. So I think it's still going to kind of stick with that. I think a big part of that is also offensive line, not so much because we know we have Jess Stoutland and he can develop, almost anyone as long as you come in there with the right work ethic and right attitude. He can get them to their ceiling, right? Everyone has a ceiling. So I think him being there definitely helps us to not have to stick with that on the offensive line as much, but the defensive line and just getting guys like Kerrigan in there and Patrick Johnson was definitely one of those types of pick where he'll be like an in-between type of guy. Like, they definitely looked at that defensive line to continue that old school mentality for sure. So,
yeah, I'm going to go a little bit of both. I feel like there has been some like newer school mentality, but when it comes to the offensive line, definitely for sure, that's an emphasis that we've made. I mean, even if you look at the players that we picked up before, just like even the young guys last year, when they came in, they played all right. There's just no consistency because as soon as they played good or played good enough for us to at least have an offense, they got hurt either that game or right after the game, and we had to make a whole new offensive line. So I think the health and the consistency is going to play a big part this season. But we definitely have been like in the old school ways of making sure that our offensive line is solid. But then when you talk about the running backs, I mean, I don't know the last time when we had a workhorse running back. We've always been a running back by committee, kind of starting that trend, even back with Westbrook being a pass catching running back. And then you've had Darren Sproles, who even no matter what running back we had, feel like he was out there more than anybody else, catching screens, running up the tackles. Like we had bigger players and we just stuck with Sproles. And so I feel like that's also been the case even last year or even the year before. Miles Sanders is playing well, but then we've utilized guys like Boston Scott and stuff to get those screen passes and everything like that. So in that sense, I feel like we've kind of conformed to like the newer school, using the running backs more in the passing game, screen game, and stuff like that. But when it comes to the trenches, I feel like at least in Philly, we do have a pretty solid offensive line when healthy and consistent.
Yeah, I think our offensive line going to be top 5. I know a lot of people hate, and I know especially Cowboys fans think that they're – yeah, I don't know why. I don't think I've ever had this much hate for the Cowboys fans like this early.
They started.
I need to get off of Twitter.
Started early this year.
I really need to get off Twitter for a little while because I don't know what it is. But either way, I think that our offensive line is the bread and butter. We have, I think, top 5. I think our defensive line would be top 5 too.
There's no way.
I think both of them.
Be.
Yeah, I think both of them. Now, as far as like the running back, I think LaShawn McCoy was probably our last like real like thumper, real guy that was like our number one. Yeah, bell cow. I was looking for the word. Yeah, like bell cow. He was really our last number one.
Yeah,
I hope they figure it out with Miles, bro, because you need somebody that you have to fear, that you know is that guy. Like I get the committee thing and that works. Don't get me wrong, but you still need that guy that goes out there and just carries the load, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So. We'll see. So I want to start with you, Hunter, because I didn't like your last answer. So we're gonna do the 2 games, the 2 matchups. What do you see happening? Split? Do you see us getting swept, them getting swept? How are you feeling?
I think split. We're a young team, but like you said, like these games with the Giants are always battles. Now, will I be surprised with the sweep? No, because the Giants always find a way to lose. I'm very confident in the Giants this year, but like. I'm also confident in the fact that they are choke artists, and we saw it last year when we played them. They tried to give away that second game to us. It's just Carson played really bad that day. I know a lot of people don't want to admit that, but I'll admit it. He played bad that day.
I admit it every day. You know me.
Yeah. As much as I defended him in that game, he played a bad game. But I think we split with them. I think they've got the offensive firepower. But Daniel Jones, I think he's still figuring some things out. I think we did see some progression from him in terms of ball placement and just making smart decisions, but I also think he's still got a little ways to go, and I think he'll end up kind of choking one of those games. But then I also think in another game, their defense is going to kind of figure us out. Maybe the second game, they'll kind of shut us down.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with the split on this one. Like I said earlier, they were 1 catch away from sweeping us last year. In our bad year, granted, but even like the year we won the Super Bowl, it took a 62-yard field goal to beat them. And then when Nick Foles was in there, it took a defensive stop when Eli Manning was the quarterback for us to win that second game. So we have beat them a lot, and we have swept them, and they've won me some money because me and my buddy that's a Giants fan like bets every year on it. But I feel like they are getting a little better, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And this is a year where we're still going to be learning. The offense is going to be learning the new offense and everything like that with essentially a rookie head coach and essentially a rookie quarterback, to say the least. Yeah, he has 4 games experience, but that's not a lot when it comes to the NFL. So depending on where we are at the end of the season, because I think we play the Giants within the 2 games of like the last like 5 games of the season. So depending on where we are, I mean, hopefully at that point we got it figured out. But like you said, Hunter, they play us tough every time. We might have come out with W's, but any given Sunday, it's a coin flip for some of these games. So I'm going with split.
I'm buying a couple brooms, and I'm starting to sweep. We sweeping. We sweeping the whole New York. That's what we do. We beating the Jets. We beating both the Giants both times. We beating everybody. Bring out another New York team. If you got the Globetrotters they want to play, we'll beat them too. Like we ain't losing to no New York teams. Nope. So I'm taking sweep. That's my unbiased.
You would say we would beat the Bills if we played the Bills?
Oh yeah, that is in Buffalo. We're beating them too. We're beating them too. That is in New York. I always forget that Buffalo's New York. That's not really New York though. Like I mean, it is. It's upstate. Like, but come on. I mean,
It's New York.
Toronto.
yeah, I've been to Buffalo. I mean, it's, I don't know. It is what it is. So that would be a good game. But I would still say we're gonna win. So I'm going sweep. It is what it. Maybe I'm wrong, but until they prove me wrong that they can come out and beat us handedly, we're gonna go out there and beat them. So we already kind of talked about the Cowboys. I kind of vented. I don't think I should keep talking about the Cowboys anymore. I think it's going to be like, I'm going to get like a letter from Dallas Cowboys Nation and cease and desist or something like that. But we'll quickly go over, what do you guys think as far as those matchups? Do you see us, sweeping them, us getting swept, or do you see it as a split? And give me like a player from each team that you're looking for in those matchups to be big.
Yeah. You got it.
I'm gonna go ahead. I guess the players in that matchup. The first one I think is week 3, So that first one, I'm definitely gonna be looking at Dak Prescott, see what he's about, see how healthy he looks, and I feel like it's another one where it's gonna depend on our secondary. I think if Dak Prescott's healthy and hitting on all cylinders, kind of like Fitzpatrick, he has the firepower, the weapons to that offense on paper should be really good on paper. I mean, granted, we got to see what their scheme looks like and all that with McCarthy, but with that offense, they should be at least scary against teams that have mediocre secondaries like ours. Hopefully we can slow Zeke down, but if Zeke can't be slowed down, I don't know what we're going to do. So definitely Dak, if he's healthy and not clicking, then I can see that being a threat. And then our secondary, like I said, that's going to be early in the season, that first game. So we're really going to have to see maybe if the Falcons still have Julio and Kyle Pitts, if we can slow them down, maybe they'll build some confidence up in the secondary by week 3. But that's definitely going to be one. And then by the end of the season, when it comes down to who's going to win this division based off that game, I think that's a game. That's why I'm going to go with the split. I think the Cowboys might win the first one and we win that last one to win the division. I think with the money on the line, I have my birds all day, every day. So it's going to be a similar situation. At that point, it's going to be like Jalen Hurts versus Dak Prescott at that point at the end of the season. So I'm going to go with the split to answer your question.
Hey, I mean, the guy I got my eye on for the Dallas matchups is definitely going to be Tyler Biadasz, the center, because they don't really have that bona fide center spot anymore. And he, I believe he was a rookie last year. I don't think he played a ton. Didn't do great when he was in there, but again, it was rookie year. So, and it was also COVID. But how will he play? Because that's the guy who's going to identify the fronts and everything, how they block. He's going to be in command, and if he isn't ready to go, that offensive line's not going to be in sync. One of the guys who I talked to one time, the offensive lineman, said that his coach told them, even if we're all wrong, we're right, because we're all doing the same thing. So that offensive line, it all goes off the center. You got to be dependent on them, and if he's not ready to go, it's going to be a tough matchup for them anytime they go out there this season. And he'll learn, but that week 3 matchup, he might not be fully there yet. So I'm interested to see if we can attack him, because the offensive line will be healthier this year, but he's a weak point to me.
Especially with all the pre-snap movement we're talking about making. So
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And all the tweener guys we have, like Kerrigan and Jannard Avery possibly being one of those guys, Patrick Johnson. So that's gonna be big, I think. But going off of that too, I know there's some from Minnesota. They do some double A gap stuff where they bring 2 linebackers down right over the center. So how will he react to that as well? Which is going to be big if Jonathan Gannon brings that over from Mike Zimmer's scheme. But on the defensive side of the ball, to me, one thing to point out is anyone on the defensive line not named DeMarcus Lawrence, because they just had nothing last year outside of him and when he was out of the lineup. So I know they drafted the Osa guy from UCLA. From what I know, he was a reach. At least I didn't hear his name mentioned among some of the top guys on the defensive line coming into the draft. I don't think he's dead, but I definitely think they could have gotten some other guys ahead of him. And I don't know. I'm looking at their defensive line depth chart right now. Tristan Hill, Neville Gallimore, Carlos Watkins. These guys are no names. They're not anything special. They can't get pressure, and that's going to leave Trayvon Diggs and Bossman Fat out to dry out there in the secondary. I mean, we'll see how they do. I think Trayvon's going to play better. I do think he improved throughout the year, but that's a position where it takes a little while to transition. So, they're going to need some help, and it doesn't really look like they're going to get much from that defensive front. So what will they involve? I think Micah Parsons will definitely be involved in the pass rush at times because we know he can do that and, put his hand in the dirt. So, yeah, I still think this team has got, some holes to fill. I know, what was that, whatever his name was, Chris, who probably gave a dislike on the video, won't be happy to hear this. But, I still think they're a little overrated and they don't really live up to the hype. I think the first matchup, Dak's just going to be a little rusty coming off his injury. And I think we're going to take them on Monday night. And then I think we're going to take them when it matters most in week 18 and snag a playoff spot. So I hate the Cowboys. I hate them so much. And, I hope that earns us another dislike. But, I'm hoping for that's the one I'm going for the clean sweep with this year.
I'll let you borrow my brooms when I'm done with the games. I'll let you borrow my brooms. I love it. I love that. I'm glad that I did it in that order because you disappointed me at first. I'm not gonna lie. Then you came in with the 1-1. Then you said sweep. It was like, all right, it just got progressively better. I love it. I'm gonna probably kill the vibe real quick, but I do think that is gonna be a 1-1 split. I kind of side on I err on, honestly, the exact same thing that Brandon said, if I'm being honest. I think that we will go out there Monday. We might win that game. If we win that game, I definitely think we're going to sweep them. But when we play them in December, when we play them past like week 8, they are trash. It is what it is. Like, it's history. It's what we've seen. Like, we literally put a practice squad out there and still won a game that mattered. Like,
how's that for a game?
Yeah, so I mean, like, come on. Like, it's hard for me to go shy away from history because we've done it with different coaches. We've done it with bad teams. It's just a rivalry thing. It's a division thing. It's always like that. And like I said, they might, turn it around. Everything, changes, but I don't see it being this year. So I do think I will be cautious, and I will say that I think we'll split. I do think we'll lose that first game. I think it can go either way. I don't, if we really know what we're doing, other teams won't because it's all new, but will we really be there? Will we really be 100% ready week 3? I think it's going to take a little while. Maybe it depends on the preseason games. There's a lot of things that depend on it, but I just don't think we'll be 100% there yet. And we saw, the numbers that Dak puts up in the first 3 weeks, and he only wins one of them. So if by week 3 he's 0-2, he's got to win one, right? He's got to win one of the first 4.
Real quick, to shout out to Harlem Cowboy. Thanks for joining the show. Did you forget how Jim Schwartz put a UDFA press man against Michael Gallup? I don't think that's going to be happening this year. So
no,
talk to him.
Not with Gannon.
And if anything, he might even be better this year. I mean, I know we might squeeze.
I don't know if he's forgetting the whole 9 points that he put up against us. How he forget about that? Twice. Didn't they put up 9 points against us twice and lose?
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. Don't come at me with that. They did it with Dak, too. When everything was on the line against our practice squad. Never forget, hashtag. What was the score? It was 17-9 or something. Yeah, bum shoulder. That's the craziest thing. And I'm not gonna keep yelling. I'm not gonna keep harping on this. We're gonna ask the last question. We'll get out of here. But I just want to say this: Cowboys fans, injuries happen to everybody. You remember that? You remember that saying? Because I remember hearing that a lot these past 4 years. That injuries aren't an excuse, and they're not context either.
I do remember hearing that.
Yeah, they're not context either. Injuries are part of the game. All right, I don't want to hear nothing. You know what I'm saying? Nothing. So, but with that said, I want to ask the poll question, and I want to ask everybody that's in the chat as well. Now that we went through it, I have them. I said sweep against the Giants. I said split the other 2. So I have them at 4-2, right? 4-2. Brandon, you said 2-0 against the Washington.
4-2. Yeah.
So you have 4-2 as well, and then I think you had you had 3-3. Okay, so 3-3. So we basically sit at 500. Everybody, we're right there. What do you guys think? Do you think that there is a clear-cut favorite? I'm going to say, and I'm going to stick to what I said in the beginning, I don't. I think that every game is going to be up in the air. I think it's going to be a wide-open division. But what do you guys think now that you kind of talked every team out in your mind and out loud? Have you changed your mind at all?
No, I disagree. I don't think there's a clear cut.
You're muted.
Oh, am I? I got a
no.
phone call.
You're
But
good.
what was I saying? There is no clear-cut favorite. I think every team got a little bit better in our division. I don't envision our division looking so bad like it did last year. I just can't see it. I think everyone got a little bit better. I think especially the other three teams, they all had brand new coaches last year. And so they were all feeling their own systems out and stuff like that. So they should be, with their additions, better than last year. And I think with the Eagles, we just need to stay healthy. We made some good additions this offseason, to say the least. I mean, we still have some Zach Ertz drama, but I think that with the fresh new mentality, fresh new coaching, fresh new just like – because, I don't know, it seems during these interviews that everything looks good so far. So we'll see what happens once they actually start playing these games. But right now, everyone just seems refreshed. Everyone seems like they're motivated to go. So we'll see. I'm hoping and praying the Slim Reaper is what he is, and he ends up coming out here and killing it. But I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite. It's hard for me to say right now.
Yeah, I don't have a clear-cut favorite either. If I did have to pick one, I think the closest to it has to be the Cowboys. I mean, I have to agree with Harlem Cowboy. Hurts did get exposed by Mike Nolan of all defensive coordinators last year. To Harlem Cowboys' credit, it was bad. And especially that second half, like they just figured him out. And now they have Dan Quinn coming in there. And those linebackers with Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, and you got Parsons too. I think they're going back to that 4-3. Last year they kind of had, I think it was kind of a mix of a 3-4 and a 4-3. But whatever it was, whether it was two gap or one gap, like Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch, they're downhill guys. One gap, let me get my gap. They're not patient linebackers who can play in a two gap system, which isn't a knock on them. It's just not how they've played throughout their time as Cowboys, and I think that really affected them a ton. So having Dan Quinn come in there and be the new defensive coordinator, with that, I don't think they're going to give up 40 points a game. And I think because of that, their offense is so dominant, they should go out there and win that division, if anyone. But, you could also say with Washington, if their quarterback play is good, they should also go out there and win the division. So my point being, I agree with you guys. Like, there is no clear-cut favorite right now. Every game, like you said, Joe, is going to be up for grabs. And I'm excited to see it because that's when this division every year is up for grabs, in my opinion. I mean, there does tend to be a favorite, but every game is always usually pretty close. There are some blowouts, but at least with the Eagles, like there haven't been too many divisional blowouts. We play all these teams pretty close, and it's always a grind it out. That's what I love about this division. It's not like a lot of other divisions. Like this is truly a special division to play in if you're a player or coach or whatever, or if you're a fan just to watch it, because every game, even if you're not playing well, something is on the line because it's either the division sucks or you want to spoil someone else's season. So I'm excited for it.
Definitely. So we all disagree. We all disagree with the comment question or poll question or whatever it's called. We disagree. There is no clear-cut answer to this NFC East. It's going to be a dog fight, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait because I'm telling you, all these Cowboy fans, all these Giant fans, all these Washington football fans, and honestly, Washington football fans, shout out to y'all because y'all really don't even say nothing. I know like maybe 3 or 4 of y'all. I don't know why I even just lumped y'all in. Good luck. It is what it is. But all these Giants fans and all these Cowboys fans really talking out of their butt right now.
Right.
And look, I'll be honest, a lot. So there's some Eagles fans that I see that are a little bit, listen, it is what it is. We're all a little bit high off the preseason right now. These guys are in shorts. They're in a helmet. They're making one-handed catches against the air. It's a lot of fun to watch, but let's not get too hyped up. The Philadelphia Eagles offense is not as good as the Chiefs. I'm going to say that. I'll throw that out there real quick. But other than that, is there anything you guys want to say before we get out of here, man?
I'm good, man.
Yeah, I'm good too. Run, baby, run.
Nobody, Brent. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Brent.
Just check us out. Obviously, we said in the beginning, Joe's the main guy. I'm the co-host of Philly the podcast. Tomorrow night, if you're interested, we're going to be previewing week 1 against the Falcons. I think Joe has a little plug he wants to put in real quick. We got a code too for that. Just come check out our channel. I don't know if we're allowed to say it on here, so I'm not.
Philly TP is the code, 20% off, free shipping.
Shit.
Holla at me. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah, I don't got anything. Just check me out on Philly Insider Podcast and InsideTheEagles.com and Run BB Run, Fly Eagles Fly.
Yes, sir. So y'all know what it is, man. I appreciate all y'all having some fun with us, man. I am about to go on to Eagles Uncensored podcast and go talk over there, talk some football. So if you guys want to come on over there, y'all can come on over there. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out here.